Make sure you listen to my daddy podcast right now. It's the best show in the world.
And this is the Car Space Up podcast. I am your host, Mr. Ty Hill. Now, y'all know what we like to do over here at the Car Space Up podcast at the I Declare War realm that I be liking to create. You know, these are the moments of nostalgia, them nostalgic moments that just make you happy. You know, we always got somebody on here that just make you happy. They remind you. I was talking to somebody today, you feel me? I ain't gonna talk y'all head off, but I was talking to somebody today, and I said, you know what my show is? My show is one of those shows that you can taste. You can smell it. You feel me? That's that memory that you can still taste mama's cooking. You can still smell daddy's cologne. You know, all of those things just make you happy in life, whatever it is. So today is no different. We got a legend on here. You feel me? A legend in my eyes, like I like to say. You feel me? Y'all have your own thoughts about it. But in my eyes, he's legend. Things that he did is legendary. He's one half of the group. Well, I ain't even gonna say the group name. We gotta just play the song. We gotta let the song rock just for a little bit. You know, let's just get into that. What you think, huh? This was that shit. What's going on, girl? Yeah. Y'all remember this shit? What you think, huh? What's going on? Look, I ain't gonna try to sing to y'all. You know, back then when this was hot, though, I had a voice. I could probably hit them notes, you feel me? But without further ado, you feel me? The year was 2003. This group came out of nowhere with a smash banger that was banging every damn where. Now, that group, if you don't know by now, is Smilez And Southstar. Today, we have a half of that legendary group on here. The young man himself. I say young man because he still looks like he's about 20 years old. You know,
man, I wish, man.
Man, he still looks very, very young. You feel me? But we have him on today, Mr. Rob Southstar Campman. Welcome to the show, brother. Welcome.
Man, appreciate you, man, Ty, for reaching out and having me, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. But legend, you know, young, man, those ain't words that describe me, man. I appreciate the love, man.
No, it is, man. If you could, I'm gonna tell you, if you could put a memory in somebody's head, that's legendary. Because you mean something to them. You feel me? Now, of course, we could say sales make a legend and stuff like that, but you've done legendary things. So we got to give you those flowers, you know. We got to give you those flowers. Man.
Thank you, man. I
thank you for coming on. I thank you for coming on. So I want to get right into it. Smilez And Southstar. How did you meet Smilez? Now, where it is, before you get on here lying, because I did a little bit of homework. Where it is, he beat you in a battle. Is that true?
No, that's not true. No, that's not how we met. I mean, you know, obviously coming up in Orlando, you know, small hip hop scene, everybody kind of know each other. And, you know, I used to do battles. Smilez did battles, you know, but we also like performed and opened up whenever artists would come through. And we both just started out just doing our own thing, man, just because, you know, we love hip hop and we got into, you know, making music, and, you know, at first just being a rapper, then eventually learning how to make music and be an artist. And we used to just always run into each other and do at shows or at events. And we literally will always just be like, man, we got to get in the studio and do something, you know, because we were kind of fans of each other and really enjoyed each other's music. And it took a guy that we mutually knew named Dakari, a producer from originally from Boston, but he's out here in Orlando. And he used to work under Transcontinental Records out here, which was, you know, they were mainly known for pop, like, you know, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and things like that, those types of groups. But he was like the in-house producer for them. And we both mutually knew him. And one day, he invited us to the studio together. And the crazy story I tell everybody is that when he invited us to the studio, he was like, man, I want to get y'all in the studio just to, you know, just basically just to see what happens. And there was actually a third guy that he invited the night, and that guy couldn't make it that first night. So what might have ended up being a trio became a duo that night, because that first night, you know, me and Smilez got in there. We already knew each other. So it was, you know, it wasn't like we were strangers. We you know, we already talked about, man, let's do something. You know what I'm saying? So we get in there, chemistry is good. We literally knocked out 2 records that night. Producers like, come on back tomorrow night. We'll do 2 more records. Next thing you know, we like, you know, we didn't even know what we was recording. You know, we was just recording records at the time. So that's how me and him met, man. Like literally just locally in the Orlando scene doing hip hop. You know, like I said, back then at the time wasn't that big of a hip hop scene in Orlando, and Orlando itself is a smaller city anyway. where if you kind of in that mix, you kind of know each other. And you know, we just happen to, you know, mutually know this producer named Dakari that brought us together in the studio and finally do a record when we had been talking about it so long.
That's dope. How old was y'all?
That was what, early 2000. I was 20. I'm gonna give the age away too, but I was 20, 22, 23 at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hear from the subject matter, just stuff that you talked about at the time. I could tell you had a little bit of life experience in you, you know, still young, but I could tell that you had a little bit of life experience, especially you talk about,
For
you
sure.
know, losing a child. You talked about that in 2 songs, and I remember that because, you know, that we all had certain struggles and stuff at that time. So y'all came to do the song Tell Me. Now, when y'all did Tell Me, did y'all know it was a hit? Like, was that the first song that y'all pushed together?
Nah, so the crazy thing is, Tell Me, I think I want to say it was like the second to last song we recorded. We had our first single was called Who Wants This? It had like the reggae vibe, and that was kind of the first record that we pushed because, you know, here in Florida, you know, obviously through networks and connections, we knew some DJs that showed us love, you know, in the club, on the radio, and we'll play a mix. You know, back then it was a little easier to get the record on Mix Show.
Yeah, right.
You know, if you had the right connection, and you know, they would show you love. So that kind of opened up some shows, and then it kind of drew in some, you know, because we started getting a couple radio spins, and you know, they always hit a chart or a report out there, and because of that, you know, people started wondering like, who's this group? You know what I mean? So at the time, we were just, like I said, just recording records. We didn't even know. It wasn't like we had a deal in place or anything. It was nothing like it. You know, most people get a deal, they work on a project,
and then
we was just making records. You know, because we was just like, you know, for us, I mean, for me personally, you know, I'm in Orlando, Florida. You know, I'm Asian. I'm doing rap music or hip hop. Like, in my mind, the dream is big, but what the chances of that happening is you know, slim to none. You know what I mean? And I grew up playing basketball, which is the same thing. You know what I mean? So like, but it was still, I love it. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't even do it for, you know, oh man, we got to get popping or anything. It was just more, I love hip hop. You know what I mean? I grew up listening to hip hop, and it became something I enjoyed doing to express myself. And Tell Me was like one of the second or third last records that we did. When Nasty first, you know, brought the beat to us, and Dakari actually did the hook on it already, you know, at like a reference before we had Billy Lawrence sing it. And I was like, man, this record has a great feel. You know, I mean, that's a Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross sample. So, you know, you're going to have that feeling anyway. So, you know, for us, it was like, man, it's another dope record. Let's just go right. You know, we just wrote the song, and I don't think I thought it was going to be a hit until when we were on the road one time. Like, I almost want to say we were like in Philly or somewhere driving up that area, like literally in the van. And I'm like, you know, really like Who Wants This was still the single we were pushing. And I was like listening to all the records, and I remember telling my manager, I was like, man, we got to get to this record. And he was like, just be patient. You know, we got this first single, we got to work. I was like, listen, man, this is the one. You know, like I think this is gonna catch on. Like this is the one that people hear, and they're like, you know, the vibe is good, it feels good. You know, they can kind of relate to the story. But you know, hits just happen, man. Like, you know, I know a lot of people. That's my daughter in the back running around.
You're gonna watch our mouth for her then.
She's definitely not camera shy. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, like I tell people, because people are like, you know, did you know it was hit, or did you go in and be like, I'm making a hit tonight? Like, I was like, man, hits don't happen like that. You know, hits just happen. You know, and I think that's the biggest thing, that biggest advice I give artists is like, you know, just make music, man. Just make music, you know, with feeling. And, you know, a lot of things have to happen for it to be a hit. You know, so I knew it was a great record. I knew it was a great record, whether I had no idea to do what it do. Again, Asian rapper from Orlando, Florida at the time. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, we can't just put the song on Apple Music or Spotify ourselves. You know, like back then, like you literally needed, you know what I mean? Like back then, you really needed the deal. You needed a label to help push it. You know, so
what happened with the deal though? When did the deal come about? The song started buzzing, and then the deal came, and they just put money into it.
So the deal came around. Again, we were working the first record, Who Wants This? For Who Wants This, we had a good who ended up being our tour DJ, a good friend of ours, DJ 007. He was on the radio station in Fort Myers at the time. The Beat down there. Shout out to 105.5 The Beat. And the program director, Bo Matthews, who's up, I think now in Ohio somewhere. But he was like the mix show DJ. 5 o'clock, Traffic Jam. You know, back then, Traffic Jam 5 o'clock. If you was the mix show DJ 5 o'clock, Traffic Jam on any hip hop station, you were the man.
Exactly. Still is.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You can break records, right? So he started playing it out there in Fort Myers for us. And then the program director was like, have him come down and do this Halloween show and do a show. It was I think the headliner was Kai at the time, My Neck, My Back, right? Kai.
Okay, My Neck, My
Back. Yeah. So Halloween show, like erotic, exotic ball. They was like, come out, just perform. So we went out there and performed and got crazy love, like, because they started playing the Who Wants This record, to kind of promote us on the radio. We go out there, we still like just doing it. You know what I mean? Like we literally no deal, no nothing, just kind of just doing it. And killed the show. Program director, after we just hanging out, drinking, he like, man, let's go back to the radio station. So we go back to the radio station. This is like at 2:33 in the morning, and he just like, I'm gonna play your song like 20 times in a row. And we like, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, like what program director do that? You know what I'm saying? But we just hanging out. We did a good show, had built a good relationship with him. And the next thing you know, he was like, he kept the song in mix show and got into rotation a little bit for us. And then he actually kind of brokered the deal. He was like, I'm gonna reach out to a buddy of mine that's at Universal, named Mark Benish, who was an A&R. And we initially were introduced to him. He liked the project. He liked what we were doing. I think he liked the dynamic of, a Black and Asian, Asian guy. Like it was different, and being from Florida is a little different. But at the time he was at Universal, but he kind of was like, look, I would bring you guys here, but I'm be honest with you, like there's another situation coming up that I'm actually going to be heading over to. If you guys could wait for a little bit, let me get over there and I'll bring you over there with me. And that's when Artist Direct, which was the label we were signed to, was founded. He went over there, was one of the VPs at A&R. He brought it, and that's pretty much how the deal happened, man. Through the program director relationship through a DJ, and then the rest is history from there.
Back when, y'all DJs need to listen up. This is back when DJs used to break artists.
Yeah,
we really needed y'all. Now y'all done made it that the artists feel like they don't even need y'all. They got SoundCloud. They going in.
Yeah, it's different, man.
But it's funny that Tell Me dropped what year? It was 2002.
Tell Me dropped late 2002. The album came out 2002. I think it was July 2002. All right, and then Tell Me, the second single dropped late 2002, but it took off early 2003.
Now, I want to ask you, right, because you actually just now mentioned it. Tell Me is a sample, you feel me? And for those that know music, you know that it's Diana Ross, you know that it's Marvin Gaye. Stop, Look, and Listen to Your Heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in that same time, and I never heard nobody mention this, but at that same time, another very, very, very popular artist came out with that same sample, which was Ja Rule. Irv Gotti produced Mesmerize.
Yeah.
Do you think that was that before or after? That was after, right?
No, it was definitely after. It was after. Yeah.
So how did that? What? First of all, how both of y'all get cleared? How did both of y'all get cleared? That's one thing.
I mean, obviously, we probably had a much harder time clearing it than they did. I mean, I almost 100% guarantee that. I mean, Ja Rule was the biggest artist in the game at the time, and Def Jam is Def Jam. So we was going up against a monster with the record when he dropped it and was kind of head up. But yeah, I mean, we were fortunate to get it cleared. Like it wasn't easy. I mean, because you got to go through the estate. You know what I'm saying? So, but we got it cleared, and yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting situation.
How did that feel? Because look, right, I be listening to the song still to this day. And I usually play them, around the same time. And it's like, I don't know if I caught on then, but now listening back, and my ears a lot better with noticing beats and samples and things of sort. What was it like being out while they were out with their hit? And both of y'all are jamming the charts though at the same time. It's not like one was just a flop.
No, it was weird, man. I mean, a lot of people try to make it into like they stole the beat or they maybe try to turn it into a beef thing. Like like it wasn't nothing like that level, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, my take on the situation is this, man. They made a business decision, and at the time it worked for them because they had he was the biggest art. Oh, 100%, man. There's no way to, because here's the deal, right? Like, listen, I got pretty good memory, but I could be wrong, and people could fact check it. But when we had Tell Me Out, right? Tell Me took off really out of nowhere on everybody. It was kind of like, who are they? You know, I remember being on 106 in Park, and Free's first question was like, well, "Who are you?" You know, and because it was like this record came out of nowhere, and Ja Rule, I think at the time his first single on that album was Thug Lovin' with Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown,
and that was the record that was the one they were promoting while Tell Me started bubbling. And then once Tell Me started really bubbling and taking over the charts and hitting kind of the crossover charts, all of a sudden we like, what's this new Ja Rule record with the same sample? You know? And so I'm like, damn, bro, like, what we gonna do about that? You know what I mean? Like, you got the Def Jam machine, you got Ja Rule, the biggest artist in the world. You know, I mean, he was the number one guy at the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how do we fight that? Now, the dope part about the whole thing is actually like the hip hop community was like, yo, he jacked y'all. That's tricky. No, Ja, yeah, like Jack, they were like, yo, he jacked your beat. What was going on? You know what I'm saying? But where they won at, again, like I said, it was a very smart business move. Where they won at is, you know, they had pop radio, man. Like when Tell Me was getting to the point where it was really crossing over, like we were, you know, top 40, like it became like a pop record, you know, like 27 on the 30 on the charts, 20. It was moving. It was like going up. And you know, like the big pop stations started playing it. Like, you know, like your Z100s in New York were like looking at it, and B96 in Chicago, and these Kiss FM type stations, you know. And I remember going to a meeting at Z100 in New York, and the program director blatantly told us, like, you know, we got two records, two good records that sound the same, and you know, like, it's a pop station, you know, like how much hip hop they gonna allow on a pop station, you know. So it's like, how many spots do we really have? And he was basically just like, you know, we can only play one of them. And Ja Rule is the biggest artist in the world right now. So that's where they hurt us, you know, because the pops, I mean, you get there now, you top 10, I mean, it's, you know, it's different money there.
Look, Ja figured that. You know, Ja figured that out early.
Yeah,
a lot of artists are figuring it out in the last 5-6 years. Nicki Minaj and Drake kind of opened the doors to make people start noticing, but now artists is noticing. You know, they want to be with Katy Perry and all of those other people now. You know,
man.
But Ja figured that out early. Y'all had y'all hit, which is funny because y'all didn't come on to it like pop. Y'all didn't think that y'all wasn't trying to create a pop song. The beat just happened to be what it was.
Yeah. It just took off. I mean, like, again, we like I said, man, we didn't even know what was going on, to be honest. Like, all of that thing just started happening. We like, oh shit, this really happened. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm an Asian rapper from Orlando, man. Like, what? Like, yeah, I want to get on 106 in Park, but how am I gonna do that? Like, I ain't from New York. I'm from LA. I ain't even around nobody.
The only Asian rapper there was what, Jin? What was the guy name?
Jin. Yeah, shout out Jin, man. That's my brother, man. Shout out to him. But, you know, he did the 106 in Park Freestyle Friday. You know, won that, and then he signed a Rough Riders, man, and yeah, man, shout out to him. But yeah, I mean, you know, like, to this day, we still, like, you know, when I talk to him, I'm like, Jin, man, like, Jin, you know, I met Jin actually. Like, the craziest thing is, like, Jin, I met him once, like, back then, right? Like, just kind of running into each other at a club. But like, literally, like 10, 15 years later, we actually like did an event in Chicago together and went to dinner and sat down and like talked about our whole experience. You know what I mean? And it was super dope to talk to him about it and hear his side, his story, because I was like, man, that's the same story I got. You know what I mean? Like, we feel like we the only one here. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
that's so what make it dope though. Both of y'all is nice though. You feel me? Both of y'all nice. So it ain't like, it's one thing, you know, when you are different or you're not fitting in, but you really ain't that good. So it's like what's that shit called? Action. When they just brought you there just so we could have Asian hair. Like,
yeah.
You gotta have at least one Asian hair. Affirmative action.
Affirmative action. Man, if hip hop had affirmative action back then, we'd be good, man. That's funny. That's hilarious as hell. Man, I never thought about that. I should have pulled that card back then when I used to go to the radio station. I was like, bro, you gotta play one, bro. Affirmative action, not discrimination.
You need at least one of us.
They can use that nowadays because cancel culture be popping. Like nowadays, you bring that. If I had, man, listen, if we had social media back then, and we could add on that.
They don't play me because I'm Asian. Look at me.
Yeah, man. That's funny. Man. I never thought about that. That's hilarious.
That's dope because like I said, with the whole Ja Rule and hearing that beat, then you got Irv Gotti production. You feel me? They said at that time they was getting a ticket just for one song, so they was getting $500,000 a piece at one point.
Man, listen,
features and beats.
And their budget had no number. You know what I'm saying? Like they were so big. Like Def Jam was probably like whatever you need. You know, so it's like, you know, I mean, the game. Listen, man, it's business, right? Like it's like any business you get into, man. Sometimes you can squeeze them out with money, and if you got more money, a bigger budget, then it is what it is. You know, like our record did well, but yeah, when Mesmerize came out, man, it definitely halted the steam that we had going. Because I think Tell Me would have been a top 10 record. You know,
I agree.
Like I think it was on its way. It was doing well, and you know, Chicago was like the number 3 song on the radio station out there one time. I think the only 2 songs in front of us were like Nelly Dilemma and Ashanti. You talking about like 2 of probably the biggest records in history. You know what I mean? Like,
but seeing at the same time, you mean what's the name? Kelly Rowland. Kelly Rowland and Nelly.
Yep. That Dilemma record.
You think about at that time, right? How much good music was on. But a lot of music didn't sound like nowhere. Like Tell Me didn't sound like Florida, you know. Dilemma didn't sound like what is this? St. Louis, you know. Ja Rule and them didn't sound like New York. Like everything was just so open back then. And that's what I love about that type of music. So let's jump on. Out of that album, y'all go on and keep in mind that album was called Crash the Party. What album came after that, or y'all halted after that? Because I remember singles after that.
Yeah. So you know, we actually worked on a second album that was going to be entitled The Reintroduction, because it really became like I told you, right? Like we went into that first album just happened. We really did go in the studio. It wasn't like this is how we want to do it. This is what we want. It wasn't no project. It wasn't like this is the theme. It was more let's just do records, you know. And we worked, you know, and we made some good records. You know what I mean? So we started working on a second album called The Reintroduction. And, you know, we dropped some records, like there were some singles that, you know, did decent on radio here in Florida. And then we kind of got stuck in that labeling limbo. You know what I mean? Like artist direct at the time, you know, they, you know, the first, you know, Tell Me did well. The album didn't do as great, but the single did well, you know, and it kind of was like a building block. So we was like, well, let's get to this next album, you know, and let's try to get that going. So we started putting that together, and they kind of helped drag their feet on it, you know, because they wasn't really like fully ready to move forward on it. And honestly, I think one of the biggest things is, you know, like, again, like whenever you're in the, most artists have an A&R, right? That brought them in, that is the one fully invested in them, that's pushing their stuff, right? So like I mentioned, Mark Bennett, he was at Universal, moved over to Artist Direct, brought us in, and he was like the one fully behind us. Unfortunately, like even during that time, he passed away. You know, rest in peace to Mark Bennett, man. Like he changed our life. So, you know, I'm forever grateful. But yeah, he had passed away during that time. So when he had passed away, he you know, our A&R, you know, it kind of moved over to other people's hands. But now you don't have a guy that's like the one that brought you in, like your really guy. Invested. You know, and I think that hurt us a little bit. And this is me now, you know, not at the time I didn't think of any of these because I was 22, 23, 24. Man, I was like, we on TV, man, we out doing shows, you know, oh, they love us, you know. This is cool. Like
enjoying life.
This is like my college life. I'm in college right now. You know what I mean? Like that's what I tell you. I said, this is they was like, I was like, I never go to college. You never went to college? Nah, man. I lived my college life through music. You know what I mean? Like that's what I was doing, you know? So
I think a lot of people give up degrees to have that college life.
So,
real
but you know, as I got older and looked back, I was like, oh, you know, I think that had a lot to do with it, which is also why they started dragging their feet on that. So then, you know, we got out of that deal. And then we were still with our production company, which is Transcon, and our producer, Dakari. And we, like I said, we were still working on the second album. And then there was an independent label that was through Universal, was distributed through Universal, that Steve Rifkin was actually kind of involved with. So, you know, people that don't know Steve Rifkin, Loud Records, you know, Wu-Tang, Big Pun, Mobb Deep, like that's who, you know, Steve Rifkin basically put on at Loud Records, legendary label. And so he had this partner, you know, business partner wanted to get in the music and start a label, had some money, and it was a label called Pure Records. It was based out of Miami. You know, shout out to EJ. He was like the in-house producer. You know, he's actually done a lot of records too, because you know in that Miami scene, you know, CO. Who wrote a lot of records for Trick and works with Missy, like shout out to CO, you know. So we started working on a project like with all of them. And it was all pretty much put together. So that's when we started pushing, like, you know, we had a song called Found Out that Amadeus produced. You know, Amadeus, big time producer now too, you know, back then still up and coming. Like, you know, we connected with him real early. And then another record that we did called You, which featured Kevin Costner, who, you know, he's young dude at the time from Orlando, but now is one of the biggest songwriters in the game. You know, he wrote Knock You Down for Carrie Hilson. You know, he wrote Go Get Up, the hook for Jeezy. You know, he recently wrote All Eyes on You for the Meek Mill, Chris Brown, Nicki Minaj record. So, I mean, you know, so we had that project, and then, yeah, I mean, just at the time, man, the label just, you know, never really fully put the budget behind it. Cause again, it wasn't the streaming days, man. You know,
Right.
Today is a little different. You know, back then you needed a budget. You needed to get it moving. But then I think also, like, you know, 2008 happened. You know, most people remember 2008. You know, that's the, you know, the recession. You know, the housing crisis, financial. So I think,
look,
you know, I think a lot. You know, so then you look at investors that are like, do I want to spend the money on that when I'm losing? You know what I mean? So I mean, like, again, looking back
in every other part of my life, I'm losing.
Yeah, like, do I want to really put up $500,000 $1 million for this project right now when I don't, you know, and, you know, so I think a lot of it, you know, just timing went bad. So the album never really came out. And, you know, like, personally, I got a little bit, you know, the music industry is the music industry, man. It's a business. You know, I was still young when I first got into it, so I was just having fun. But as you get older, you start learning the business and learning the industry. And there was a time that I was just like, man, like, I just don't like the industry. I don't like the business side of it, you know, and we were stuck in all these contracts and nothing was doing nothing. And I'm just like, you know, so I kind of was like, you know, I'm gonna just step away for a little bit and not really do music and just, you know, just focus on other things. You know, I got a kid that I'm raising, you know what I'm saying? Like, and spend time there where I wasn't able to earlier in his life, and just go from there. And you know, at the same time, I kind of wanted to let all the contracts kind of expire, because I mean, you know, so many of them, man. I mean, you got the record deal, you got the production deal, you got the management deal. You know, he's like, let me let all these things expire and then revisit and just kind of see if it's something that we want to continue doing. But the second album was dope, man. I really like.
So y'all still sitting on that then?
Yeah, we still got it, man. I mean, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I actually, it's in my phone. I listen to it in the car now. It's a dope product. The people that have heard it, they're like, man, if this would have came out. I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, so we've even thought about just releasing it, you know, as kind of like a teaser, but you know, then you got to kind of go through making sure the clearance is all right. And
yeah. You just throw that bitch out there. I don't know how I got there.
I thought about that too.
It just popped up.
Oh, it's on SoundCloud? I didn't even know.
Who would have known? I mean, is it doing good? What the numbers looking like?
Sorry to interrupt everybody, but I had to tell y'all about BillionBrothers.com. They make high quality handmade leather bags and apparel that's perfect for your everyday needs. So whether you're going out for a night on the town or you commuting to work, Billion Brothers bags Guaranteed they got the bag that fits your lifestyle. Now, me personally, I like the backpack one because I got to keep the laptop on me so I can keep up with y'all. That make it easy for me to pull it out, do what I got to do, and then get it back inside the backpack and I'm out. Now, that's me. You head over to the site, find which one works for you. Right now, just for spending $250, they're giving you 10% off. So head over to billionbrothers.com, find the perfect bag for your style. Tell them Ty sent you. Peace. Now enjoy the show.
So what's up with Smilez Now? What's up with Smilez Now? Y'all still tight?
Yeah, me and Smilez cool, man. Like, we both really, like I said, like, man, I tell everybody, man, if you see me and Smilez together, if we don't talk, it don't matter. We brothers for life. You know what I mean? Like, we went through something in our lives that only me and him could relate to because we experienced the exact same thing together during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, not even my manager, my DJ, like none of them experienced what me and him as the artist experienced. So that's something that we'll always be tied to and bonded, and we're great friends to this day. Smilez actually does real estate now. He actually owns his own real estate broker here in Orlando, the Roaster Realty downtown. So he's got about like 75 agents that work under him. So yeah, so he's done really good.
Tell me money still put it into some good things out here, huh? It still worked out for y'all because what you doing now? You also dealing with that, right?
Yeah, I do lending. So we do some lending, and then so we kind of partner up on the real estate side where we kind of handle the lending as well as if you want to buy a home, sell a home, we could refinance your loan. We got into that side of things, which was huge as I got older because I started learning about finances. Something that I wasn't taught young. What I mean? So
right.
You start learning about finances and how to manage it, and really how money works, and how money makes money. How the wealthy get wealthy. They never spend their own money. You know what I'm saying? They rather borrow and flip it. Yeah.
So you enjoying right now then, because this a perfect time for all of that. I mean, you not just enjoying reaping the benefits of what's going on. You feel me? You also enjoying being able to teach people with that. Oh, because right now we're inside of a crisis within that world too. I mean, products is high as hell right now. Houses is high as hell. Renting is even higher. Building supplies is high as hell. So you're enjoying those. We're not looking as great as I don't think the drop is going to be as drastic as it was in 2008, but I still see a lot of stuff coming into play within the next 2 years.
Yeah. I mean the market's crazy, man. It's I don't think it'll be like 2008 when it comes to housing, just because when 2008 happened, 2008 caused a lot of regulations to go into effect to protect, overall protect. So it won't, I'm not saying that you might not still have somewhat of an issue, but a crisis, but it won't be like 2008, because there was no protection. Like these guys were giving out. I mean, like you could have no job. Yeah, you walk in and be like, "Hey, I make 50,000. How much you make? 300,000 a year. Okay, prove."
Like you get a house. You get a house.
Yeah. I was like, man, they're giving out houses out here, man. I'm gonna take all of them.
Listen, I'm so mad because when 2008 hit, I had to be about 22, 23, I think. And I just I wasn't into that. I didn't know nothing about. I wish I was smart enough to buy property back then because, Lord, I mean, people seeing the benefits right now. And if you had a house right now for 300, your house probably right now in this whole crisis going on is probably worth about 350 to 400 right now. If you can tell. Back then, though, these people are like doubling money.
No, for sure.
5 years later, 6 years later.
Oh yeah. If you bought in like early 2000s and then sold right before 08, it was a come up.
Man, it was a come up. That's what they say.
And honestly, even like the last couple of years, if you would have bought like maybe like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or earlier, and sell now, that's a come up. You know what I mean? But that's part of like when you learn about finances, you see the trends, and it's like even the stock market, man. Like COVID happened, stock market crashed. If you would have bought into the market, if you invested hard into the market right then, like everything came back, and you would have been, you would have definitely did well. You know what I'm saying?
So right now they can contact Southstar to get financial advice and tips, or just or it's just for
Yeah,
lending? Like,
man.
what exactly do you offer to people right now? Because I know you also deal with basketball and stuff too, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like my other passion, man. Like, like I mentioned to you earlier, man, I grew up playing basketball, so music and basketball has always been like hip hop and basketball really has always been like my two passions. Um, I played high school growing up, and I'm tall for being Asian, but I'm not 6'9", you know what I'm saying? I'm 6 feet. I could play, but but again, it helped me when I did hip hop because I
Right.
was used to the stereotyping, and I was used to the, whatnot, you know what I'm saying? So like it never really deterred me, because it was like, even though it was like, you Asian, why you can't rap? You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh yeah, well here,
Right.
it's just like basketball. You Asian, you can't play. I'm gonna pick
I'm gonna
him up. All
show
right,
you.
cool. I'm gonna show you the next game. And then you'd be like, damn, I should have picked you up. So, yeah. So I was fortunate enough, like, my oldest son, you know, um, just graduated from high school last year. Again, giving my age away. But he played high school basketball, so I have been following him, and of course during the summer, kind of help out Coach AAU with him, a travel ball, and last year, now that he graduated, I was like, well, I ain't got to follow, I don't have to go to his games or anything like that no more. So I was like, man, I'd like to still be involved, and so I started coaching basketball with a travel program here called Southeast Elite, which is a pretty big program in Florida. It's an Adidas 3SSB sponsored program. And then I also was asked to come on board and help out the high school level at one of the high schools out here, Coy High School. So
Okay.
it's cool. It keeps me. It's a passion of mine. I love basketball. The selfish side of it is I'm competitive. I used to play a lot of basketball, but I'm older now. I know I can't play as much, so I get to coach it and still feed my competitiveness, like by coaching and trying to win games that way. But the rewarding part is really just being able to be around the youth, you know what I'm saying, and really just
Got you.
teaching them life through the game of basketball. Because I tell everybody, I say, basketball, when people ask me, like, how is it? I was like, man, it's no different than rap. It's just the product is basketball. It's the same thing. These kids, you want to get a scholarship, you got to market yourself, you got to expose yourself, you got to be in the right areas, you know what I'm saying? And you got to have the right people around you to help you do that. And then, when you get in those situations, you know how to handle that situation, because that's just like rap, right? Like if you get a deal or you get a hit record, you know how to handle that situation. When I was younger, I wouldn't say that I was the best at it, but you kind of learn from your mistakes, or you kind of learn from your experiences. So now when I look at it, I like giving back and teaching the youth, and just, kind of guiding them and hopefully helping them make the right decisions. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times though, it's still your decision is what I tell you, but,
Right.
but we can share some of our life experiences and what we've learned and pass it down. And that's the rewarding part of coaching basketball that I love.
That's dope.
And that's my daughter.
Man, look. Hello.
You say hello?
Look, man, we appreciate you. We thank you again. I know you don't like to be called the legend, or you don't consider it to be legendary, but for everybody to watch this show, y'all know what we call legends, and why we call them legends is because they have controlled their own realm for whatever it is, even if it was just for that split second or that long minute. Whatever it is, they controlled it during that time. And tell me it was one of those things that Smilez and Southstar did. Before I let you go, homie, before I let you go, I need to know, should we be expecting music from Southstar? Smilez and Southstar? Southstar alone? Rob Capman? Any one of you?
Expecting, I don't know. I don't know if I would say expecting. I love music, man. I love hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's still in my blood. It's just like I said, just like basketball, man. Basketball's in my blood for life. It don't matter. I'm gonna watch it. I'm a coach, whatever, right? So I would never say never. The one thing that I do tell a lot of people is, man, the hardest part for me now is, I know what them studio sessions be like. Sometimes you get in there, it's like, man, you just be in there for like, you got to spend time, and if you really want to be on point, it's like basketball. Like you got to practice, you got to be in there, you got to get better, So with me not really having the time to be in there and do that, sometimes it's almost like, do I even want to? Because it's like, or just leave it like where we're at, you know what I mean? Because I'm happy with what we did. I'm proud of what we did. Like I said, I don't think I don't think I don't use. Hold on, Mama, I'm talking. Can you hold on while I finish? Huh? Let me finish, and then I'll let you play with the iPad, okay?
I ain't gonna hold Daddy too much longer. I got till I gotta.
And then I got kids. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Right.
But I wouldn't say never. You know, when it comes to music, man. Like I love it. I still consult or mentor younger artists. You know, when they have advice, sometimes I'll go in the studio and listen to their stuff and be like, man, you know, it's a lot of talented young kids that deserve their chance too. You know, so proud of what we did, man. And like I said, legend's a big word, man. You know, like I think the reason, like, you know, a lot of people would be like, oh, you a legend. I'm like, I don't know, man, because I know who my legends are, you know, and I'm not them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to accept that, but I'm definitely appreciative of it. And I'm glad that, you know, and we, you know, tell me, I think too, like over the years, one thing that I've learned is to really appreciate that record even more, because, you know, to think about 20 years later, basically 20 years later, you know, people still love the record and people still will show me that, man, this is my joint. Oh, it's on my playlist, you know, and we still getting, you know, it's on the streaming sites. I see the numbers. I'm like, man, this thing really, like, I could literally probably go into look at it right now, and it'll show me like 15 people listening right now. And you're like, man, it's 20 years later, you know, like so I've appreciated the record over time to understand that, man, it was a classic timeless record that we made, and, you know, and very, very appreciative of what it's done. You know, it's done, that record's done a lot for me. It changed my life, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm thankful for you guys, like, you know, people like you and the people that have listened to it and that show love, because, you know, it changed my life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what my life would be like if it wasn't for that record.
That's dope. That's dope. Man, we appreciate you. We thank you for giving us your time. I see you busy. We're gonna let you get back to real grown man stuff. We'll continue to listen to the old Southstar for sure, the old Smilez for sure. We'll continue to support. We'll continue to show you love. Let the fans know where they can reach out to you, because you're a very direct person. You're very cool, very down to earth. Let them know how they can reach out to you, or at least just keep up with you, whatever you're doing. Y'all here doing sponsorship, as far as, mentorship and things of sort. Yeah. So I know it's a lot of artists out there that need somebody real in their life, and basketball players, or, you know, I'm sure you got that for them. So let them know how they can reach out to you, man.
Yeah, man. I'm in the Instagram, you know, I am Southstar. Twitter, I am Rob Campman. You know, Instagram's cool, man. Just message me. Like, I ain't gonna lie. I think I told you the same thing. I was like, man, I don't really check them that much, the DMs, and I sometimes be a little bit behind on it. But hit me in there when I get through it. I definitely have no problem. You know, very easy to communicate with. But hit me up on Instagram. I am Southstar. So I am Southstar.
Dope, man. And y'all already know what to do for me. Make sure y'all hit that like, subscribe button wherever you watching us at. Leave a comment. You know we're located everywhere. On YouTube, we are Card Space Up TV. Again, our YouTube channel now is Card Space Up TV. Also, don't forget, we're on all platforms, audio platforms. That's Spotify, Google, Apple, Amazon, Rite Aid, CVS, all those places. We all love them. Make sure y'all check us out. Listen to us. Shout out to Smilez and Southstar. Southstar, we appreciate you, brother.
I love, man. Appreciate you, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate you for having me.
Bye-bye.
You say bye?
Already, man. Salute.